Welcome to the Heart to Heartland podcast. Here are your hosts.
Welcome back, everyone. It's another Saturday.
Saturdays are for the boys.
Yeah, and for the girls and, for everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, it's your girls, Soile and
Isabelle.
yeah.
And today I got my math right. So I got the number mixed up last week. Well, both of us did because we're both counting and we're both equally dumb when it comes to math.
Yeah.
But today I have a countdown going on my phone. 84 days.
Yeah.
So basically what I said last week, but more.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's not even that far away. But
I know because
nothing
it was wrong.
clicked.
Oh, that's hilarious. We warned them ahead of time.
Yeah, like they
that
should
we
know
don't
by
do math.
now.
And this is why.
This is no math podcast.
No.
In case you weren't aware.
Math goes against my religion.
Yeah, same.
We had birthdays that we missed and that are upcoming as well.
Yeah, like we were a mess last week.
We were a mess. We had so much to talk about though. Like it ended up being like an hour-long episode last week.
Yeah, Michelle had her birthday.
Yeah, the big 4-0.
Friday or Saturday.
I think so. It was the 16th. So, she had her party on the Saturday.
Yeah, it was
when her
on
cake
Friday.
Looked amazing.
Friday was 16th. Yeah, she turned 40.
Yeah,
like, can you believe?
I remember when she turned 30.
Yeah,
and she made her Instagram post, and she's like, "I'm looking forward to my 30s," and I'm like, "No, she's 40," which isn't old. It's just the point of time flying, and like everyone's growing up and getting older,
and we're like
not old but older.
Like if she turned 30 then and she's 40 now, that means it's been 10 years and like
a lot for a long time.
Yeah. And was it on Friday as well when Jessica Emily had her birthday?
I think it was Saturday, the day that we released the episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we posted the Jake and Mallory episode.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was like, we totally planned this.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
And then we have Alicia's birthday on Thursday this week. Yeah. So by the time you're listening to this, it's going to be 2 days ago. Yeah. And I think she's 20 this year, isn't she?
Don't ask me.
I know. I don't even know. Was she born in 01?
I think so. 2001, right?
Okay, I'm 22, so she's turning 20 this year.
Yeah.
But let me get my facts straight because we're real good with numbers around here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She'd be turning 20.
Yeah, so it's a big birthday month in the Heartland world.
And there's a lot of like milestones, like Michelle's 40th, and this will be Alicia's 20th, which is also a big deal.
Yeah.
Jessica Emily, I'm not sure how old she is now. She's, probably mid-20s, I'd say.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Probably 27. Yeah.
Time flies. I have been looking forward to this topic all week. Let me find it. Here we go. Well, this event at the Dude Ranch that we've been talking about all week, all of us have been talking about online and everything. What do you think it is?
Well, it looks like wedding.
Yes. And I told the very first thing I said was I bleeping knew it. Tim and Jessica.
I've seen people say like, "Oh, Lou and Peter are getting remarried."
That's what I said too. I said maybe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And the more I see stuff from the set, the more I'm convinced that it's Jessica and Tim.
Jessica.
Yeah.
Because we see Lou was wearing dresses that aren't wedding dresses. Not saying that they couldn't have renewed their vows in whatever they were wearing. But first of all, there was lots of pictures. So there was like Amber, Michelle, Carrie, and we knew like all of the main cast were on set. All of the big cast. Madison, except Alicia, of course, which is crappy. But they didn't show pictures of Tim and Jessica, and I feel like there's a reason for it.
Yeah. And Lou had this like bridesmaid kind of dress. The kind of it's kind of the same as she wore in Amy's wedding.
It actually was, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of nicer than the one she wore at Amy's
Yeah,
wedding.
because Amy's not wearing anything like that, but Lou is.
She's just
And
wearing something. Yeah.
yeah, so Lou is closer to Jessica. So, and
dude, I'm so excited. Like, you don't know. Like, I am so excited. And if it ends up not being a Tim and Jessica wedding, just might as well hit me with a car.
yeah.
That's what I feel like. 'Cause I'm so excited.
Because at first I was like, well, would that be too quickly?
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
But then at the same time, you know, they both survived cancer or cancer scare, and you know, they're kind of living in the moment. And
I think that they were just they in general, and it was probably because it was a shorter season, but they generally moved along fast. But it didn't even seem that fast because she kind of spent the whole season in and out. So I was surprised by how well it went for being such a short season. But we also have to remember that at the end of the season, it was a 6-month jump.
Yeah.
And then if they're getting married, what episode is this in? 3 or 4?
Well, actually, I was supposed to read something from Amber's July fan club letter.
Okay.
Because it says, in the world of Heartland, we have an excellent season so far. We're just about to begin our 3rd block, which means filming episode 5 and 6 of season 15. Amy and Lou get to tag along to help Jack and Tim move the herd. I'm pretty stoked about this. And we also get to be dressed up in episode 6 for something special at the Dew Ranch. That is all I will leave you with.
So that isn't even that, like, that is actually a pretty decent amount of time.
Yeah. And, you know, they've been traveling between seasons, so they've gotten to know each other better. And, you know, people have gotten married faster.
Well, yeah, so... exactly. Like, I knew people who got married after, like, 2 or 3 months. And so I'd say, like, altogether, they'd probably be together by this particular episode, maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah. And if it turns out to be a wedding, I'm so glad we're finally getting a summer wedding, because
oh my god, I'm right. Not even Caleb and Ashley's wasn't almost even like a summer wedding. It was more like a fall wedding. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. I don't know what this show has a bit against summer weddings, but
like, we've talked about this, like, can someone get married during summer? And
I thought for sure that Ty and Amy would get married in the summer, just so that they would mix it up and it would be different than all of the other weddings. But
and I don't know about Canada, but here in Finland, like, everyone gets married during summer, basically.
Yeah,
well, not everyone, but mostly.
Yeah, my cousin got married in the winter. That was the only winter wedding I've ever attended.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, why is no one getting married during summer? But here we are. Well,
and like, how cool is it to see Tim? Like, I'm so happy that Tim gets his happy ending, because he's gone through women like water.
Yeah,
and he's just like, oh my god, I think he's finally found his match. I'm gonna be so depressed if it's not them getting married. What else could it be?
Yeah, like, the fact that Madison is there, Caleb's there, it's like, well, if it would
Peter
be...
was there too, and Jack, and Michelle said Jessica Steen was on set. Everyone's there except for Georgie.
Yeah, that's weird.
Filming her scenes a different time.
Yeah,
because she is in Calgary now, so she's probably on set this week. And they look like they've been filming those scenes for a couple of days. So I'm wondering if they're gonna just shove Alicia in there and put a little bit of, you know.
Maybe, like, if she's not there, like, they better have a good excuse.
Good
reason. Like, she's competing somewhere.
She's close with Tim. That'd be her grandfather. Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see, but it really looked like a wedding, and really looked really beautiful.
There's literally no other. What else could it possibly be? There's no one else on the show who's gonna get married. Amy's not gonna get married. We know it's not her. We're pretty sure it's not Lou. Definitely not Jack and Lisa. It's not going to be Peter. It's not going to be something with Mitch. It's Caleb's married.
Yeah.
Like, nothing else makes sense.
And Alicia's not there, so...
Yeah. And that sucks because I mean she's out of the show for 5 episodes in a row. Yeah, I'm assuming the excuse is going to be training in Florida or something, or for
Yeah.
the Olympics. I hope it's a good excuse.
Yeah, it better be, because
Yeah.
otherwise it doesn't make sense, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, since she's really not going to be in it that much, I wonder what like the cover art is going to be for this season. I'm assuming it's just going to be Amber.
Yeah, maybe Lindy, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really happy that if it turns out to be Jessica's and Tim's wedding, that, like you
I'm
said,
dressing up. I'm putting my dress and heels on to watch this, and I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Like, one of the things I wanted to see before the show ends, you know, we don't know when it ends yet, but like now we're kind of like pretty sure that even like whenever it ends, Tim at least gets his happy ending. So,
Yes.
and I think after last season, like everyone needs a little bit of like joy and happiness.
Oh, for sure.
I think maybe that's one of the reasons like Tim might propose, because, you know, life is short, like anything can happen.
I wonder if we're even gonna see the proposal. I wonder if it's something that happened on the trip, or if it's something that we're going to see in season 15. And I beg that we do.
Yeah, same. Do you think Lou will have a problem with it? I know she's kind of accepted that, you know. I hope she doesn't, because it's usually
I know. You know how Lou makes everything about her.
Yeah,
like, especially when you get into like Jack and Lisa's wedding, and then Ty and Amy's wedding, and then
like, can we have one wedding where she's not, you know, mad
Being
about?
Lou.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hope so. Like, I mean, I think I remember that they had this conversation. Tim and Amy had this conversation in the cattle drive in season 2 about him dating someone else. So I feel like they've come a long way, and they're all adults now. I think it would go over pretty well.
Yeah, like at this point, it's like, come on, like, haven't
Yeah,
we
I
gone
know,
through
grow
this
up.
like million times?
Yeah. It looked funny though. Whatever scene someone had posted a video looked funny. Whatever Caleb was doing was, I think he was in a scene with Peter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Like, you couldn't really tell, except, you know, based from Carrie's pictures, like that he was wearing that outfit, and, you know, you could tell it was Caleb, but the other person, like based on the mannerisms, like could
have been him.
Yeah.
Right. I'm incredibly surprised at how well they've been keeping secrets.
Yeah.
This season and last.
Yeah.
Especially with an event like this, how many times has it not been spoiled, like massive events like these?
Yeah, like I know that the most telling pictures came from the crew, but like even the cast posting pictures of them in fancy clothes, like, you know, that gives away a lot.
They have to assume that people are gonna know. I mean, what else is it gonna be?
But I think for me, that's actually what makes me more interested, to have those like little tidbits of like teasers, and your mind is gonna go all crazy with theories and speculation.
Dude, that reminds me of this article right here. I was fixing this and I was reading it at the same time, and it talks about how you and I constantly talk about spoilers from set.
Well, here we are.
I know.
We made a podcast out of it.
Yeah. So. We're real. And the other thing about this event, both Lou and Amy had 2 different dresses.
Yeah. Like that.
Amy had the red one, which is beautiful, and then she had that other floral one. I think it was like white floral. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then Lou changed twice too, didn't she?
I think so. Let me check.
And it's like, so I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be some sort of like party the night before they have a wedding, or
because well, what I'm used to, it's like always just one party, but like people have rehearsal dinners and so I don't know. I think I can't remember, but did Michelle just wear one dress?
Well, here's the thing that was confusing about it is she posted a picture of her in a fitting with that dress, right?
Like I wonder if she borrowed something from the like Heartlands that were her actual
Then why is
birthday.
Amy wearing 2 different dresses?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, I had posted, I asked you guys what you all thought was happening with this event, and so I'll read off some of the answers I got. They're pretty interesting. Someone said something about Hudson or maybe Caleb's child's naming ceremony. Someone said wedding because everyone is dressed up. Party, something for Ty. I think a wedding, Tim's wedding, Jesus' wedding anniversary, which is pretty good, except for the fact that it's a little off on the timeline.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tim's wedding to Jessica, charity event, or Georgie making the Olympics. So those are the ideas that were sent in. So quite a few people do agree with us that it's Tim and Jessica.
Yeah, I think I actually we talked about this in our like WhatsApp chat, and I mentioned like imagine if Jack would be the what's the word?
The officiator, like the dude who marries them. Okay, to dumb it down, the dude who marries them.
Yeah.
And I had thought that too, and I didn't say it out loud, and then you said it right when I was thinking it, and I was like, yeah,
no,
because
that would be so sweet.
Yes, because of the bond that Jack and Tim have, absolutely, especially with how Tim was at Jesus' wedding. You know what I mean? Like, it would only be fitting if Jack had some sort of important role in his wedding, especially because he was married to his daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it's kind of like, I don't know, it sounds weird, but like giving his blessing for Tim's, happiness. I don't know.
And to see some sort of scene with Tim asking Jack,
he'd be like, well, I have this thing, and he's like, well, spit it out. And he's like, never mind.
Yeah,
like acting like
girls. Yeah. This week we decided to watch the Heartland spin-off web series, whatever you want to call it, from 2019 called Hudson.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen it and you have access to CBC Gem, you're able to watch it without registering or anything. It's just like available right there.
Yeah.
And it has like 6 episodes, and altogether they're like, I don't know, 50 minutes long.
Yeah, it probably, because they're about like 8 minutes per episode. So whatever 8 times 6 is.
Yeah. Like we said, we don't do math.
Why do we always make these math problems? Why? Anyways.
Yeah, but it's kind of like if you want to watch something short and like you might watch a few episodes, then do something else, and then come back to it. So it's good for something like that. But overall, there's like a story arc that goes through all of the episodes, and the official description for the show says, while left in charge of Maggie's for the week, a driven Jade Virani butts heads with the new girl in town while they vie for the new manager position.
What's the word?
V-I-E. Why? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
that's a word?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, it means something in Finnish, but that was the official description. Apparently, we don't do English either. So
no, we can do a little bit of German. What the heck does that mean? I'm Googling it.
Yeah, but there is kind of a fun. Like, how many times have you watched this show?
So twice. So I watched it when it first came out, and then I watched it this week to refresh my memory.
Yeah, because I've been watching it a couple of times, and the first time was actually when it even aired, because I was asked to kind of review it before.
I remember that someone sent it to you.
Yeah, this
privately.
is like official. Like I didn't like.
I remember this now.
Yeah,
and they sent it to you so you could watch it.
Yeah, they wanted to have some feedback from some of the fans they were familiar with, and I was one of them. And this was like a couple of months before they even added it on CBC Gem. So I gave them like feedback about things that like things I liked about it and things that might not work. And I don't know if that made any difference, but anyway, I saw it like before anyone else, and then I was not able to talk about it to anyone because I had to keep it a secret. So how some of the fandom have asked that they include someone from the LGBTQ community to the show or whatever, and then in this show they actually have lesbian, bi, I don't know.
I would say they didn't really go into like their direct terms, but
so like they didn't give me any like information beforehand outside that it was based around. Yeah, it was based around Jade, and that was kind of it.
So were you
I went like blindly in, and I just took notes and I just wrote down stuff, and then I was like, there's like this.
I remember this, and I remember you messaging me, and you're like, oh my god. And I was like freaking out because I knew everyone and their cousin was gonna lose their shit over it because
because then it kind of like I went like, what? Like they actually did it? Like what the hell? And then they were like, thanks for the feedback, and like you'll be able to watch this later. And I was like, I can't tell anyone.
I know, you have to keep it a secret.
Yeah. And I remember I had my Instagram for Heartland, and so I just posted this like unicorn something, like a teaser, like I'm excited about something that's to come, or
oh my god,
whatever.
I don't remember that. That's iconic.
Yeah.
So love the gays.
So I was like so excited about this, and I've watched it a couple of times since then as well, and I feel like it almost gets better each time. Maybe it's because
I honestly didn't remember a lot of it because I haven't seen it since 2019 when it came out.
Yeah.
So I felt like almost as though I was watching it for the first time. It's it's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like once you get to know kind of who the characters are and what's the plot of the whole thing, you're able to kind of appreciate it much more, because you don't have to like do much thinking. You're just like enjoying.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's kind of the like Heartland, because it takes place in Hudson and it has Jade, but it has these like new characters and new events, and so you have to kind of
feel to it. It didn't feel like Heartland, but it was like a woke version of Heartland.
Exactly. Like I wrote down that it's more like more edgy and modern day Heartland.
Very modern,
yeah. Like there's this little bit of cheesiness that Heartland has, but like it's not as cheesy. It has this like, I think it really describes Jade's character very well, like the tone of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the show starts off with introducing us to Jade, her friend Trace, and Kobe, and they're stealing this what do you call it, like
I don't know what should be the appropriate term for it, but they this indigenous it was basically mocking the indigenous community.
Yeah. It's like cardboard, not cardboard, but like
it was some sort of statue of mocking the indigenous communities.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I think it's important to mention that Kobe, one of the friends, is actually Native Canadian. So it's kind of like a personal thing for them, but also kind of like, I don't know, social justice thing.
Yeah.
So they're stealing it, and in the process, they kind of scratch this new character Sloane's car. And so right away, we're introduced to these characters, and that's kind of where it all begins.
I liked it. I mean, it was really cool of them to do this in 2019, but considering what's happening now here in Canada with the Indigenous community and the children that they've found, and we're on stolen land, all of these things, to like having them do that is like incredibly fitting for right now, and it's woke, and it's like read the room, bro, basically, right? Like, so I feel like at the same time it was a little ahead of its time because people weren't really ready to talk about those things.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of sad that we're still having these conversations. Yeah. Like by the end of the whole series, like this is not much of a spoiler, but Kobe takes the statue or whatever you want to call it back to the guy. And the guy's like, well, this is tradition. Like my dad used to have this here every time they had a rodeo week or whatever. And he's like, well, just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's right.
No, at all.
Yeah. So I really love that kind of commentary.
Yeah.
Like it kind of tied it all together because it's about, like, the show is about Jade and like Sloane and all of this, but it's also about Hudson, this,
and
you know, the town and
all the different people.
Yeah. So I really like the way they started and ended the show, kind of keeping that in people's minds.
Yeah. And this character ended up being the bigger person and could have gone in so many different directions. Like I could only imagine what it's like to see that as a Native American or Canadian. So it took a lot of, I don't know, good for him, basically.
Yeah.
And I just I don't know where I was going with this. You're gonna have to edit this.
Well, I have something. When I gave the feedback about the episodes, you know, I made a commentary about that, but I also mentioned that if there's going to be more episodes, it will be fun if they included Kobe more, because he seemed like such a nice character.
I know. They have always, even from the start, have, you know, included different groups of people, especially Indigenous, because Alberta's you know what I'm saying. So when they come and they do Hudson like this, I really, like, you agree that they should have, I wish they would have made him more of a bigger character, or more he wasn't really there except for, you know, those sign scenes, right?
I got comments back about that, and they mentioned that the actor was, you know, this was his first role, so they wanted to ease it in for him, because, you know,
that makes sense.
That's a you know,
so okay, that makes sense. Then that makes sense. And whoever this actor is did great, and I imagine it could have been incredibly personal as well, this topic of conversation.
But you know, if there ever is season 2, like, I don't know, it's been a couple of years by now, but like I
wonder if they plan to do a season 2 and then they got the feedback for season 1 and they're like, no.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that when it was released, it was one of CBC Gem's most watched shows.
Interesting.
So I don't know.
That's wow. I think it kind of got a whole new group of people into it.
Yeah.
Because when you finally see someone like you whether it's LGBT community or even the topic of Native Canadians, you're going to want to watch it if it's something you can relate to. And it's not like they haven't, brought up Native Canadians on Heartland, but it hasn't been, we haven't had those conversations.
Yeah, it's always been like, I do appreciate that it's like whenever characters from that background are featured, it's not always about, their roots or the problems they're facing, but they're just like part of the society.
Yeah, they're just exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's this like platform or
a platform, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you have an opportunity to kind of maybe even change people's minds or open their minds to issues they might not
or
be
even
dealing
just
with.
to show support to the people.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
So it's kind of like I wish they'd have more of this kind of writing on the show, but at the same time, you have to have that kind of balance so it doesn't get too preachy or
right. And that's why I love this episode in season 5 where they go to the reserve that Scott is from.
Yeah.
And we see more history. And then when it came to Victor too, we have a little bit of that culture, and I love to see it, and I'm very fascinated by it, and I would love to learn more if they would put more on the show, even to just teach some sort of history for the viewers, or even bringing it up in conversation. We don't ask for much. Same with the LGBT community, even a small mention would make the difference.
Yeah, and I remember when Wild Horses, the season 5 episode aired, I just remember loving it right away because it was something we had never seen before.
So different.
Yeah, so it was expanding the kind of the Heartland world, but at the same time, there was Scott, who we knew, and then we got introduced to April, who was this new character who had a relationship with Scott. And so I think they did it well, and I don't think they should be afraid to kind of let those characters that might not be featured as much be on the center of the show and kind of tell their story, because I don't know, like personally, I really love to see more of them and learn their story.
I love the diversity. I want, and this is so like, it's such a white privilege for me to be even be able to talk about this. Like I will never know what it's like, but I want the diversity for other people too.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to just sit there and look at white people.
Yeah. Like we could pick any show and, basically see ourselves anywhere.
Yeah.
But
and it's and especially now that Scott isn't in the show, we could really use another stable character who is Native Canadian or American or someone, a member from the Indigenous community,
because it's what the real world is. Like it's not just white people, so like
especially in Alberta.
Yeah, like so why pretend that it is? So
right, exactly.
Like I said, I love that the show was modern. Like, of course, I appreciate the kind of Heartland vibe the Heartland show has, that it's kind of like old school in some ways.
Right.
But I love that they took like a different approach to this. So it was like modern. They had like social media feature, like these pictures between the scenes, and it was like this rock music playing, because people listen to rock music in Alberta, not just like country music or folk or whatever. Yeah, so it was kind of like a different side of Hudson. Even the sceneries, like we have Maggie's that we know, and the rodeo grounds, but then they spend a lot of time outside by this river. So I really love that they kind of kept it familiar, but at the same time showed us the new side of what this Heartland universe could be.
Yeah, it was cool to watch them dive into the social media, and they talked about Snapchat, Instagram, Tinder.
Yeah.
it also, as much as it was nice for them to talk about these modern things, especially when it comes to, you know, the younger generation, which is what we grew up with, it didn't feel too Heartlandy. Like watching Amy use an app, like, guys, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, you think Amy use an app to order coffee?
Yeah, those were...
I might.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. But
yeah.
You know.
There were a couple of moments that were kind of like, okay, I don't know about that, but like, you know, I understand they had to include that for the show. Like, they have these characters from Heartland do cameos. You have Amy, Ty, Georgie, and Lou, but the main focus is on this like trio. So they had to bring them in some ways.
Yeah, well, it gets the viewers to go into as soon as you see, you know, Amy and Ty are going to be in it. All right.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of, you know, characters, I love that just kind of like in Heartland, they had a lot of women featured on the show.
Yeah.
And at first you might get this like vibe there that they're bidding Jade and Sloane against each other, which is kind of like tiresome.
Yeah, very.
This trope, but then as the plot progresses, you kind of get this support that they support each other, and you know they encourage
they end
each
up
other
working together.
Yeah, and they become friends. I don't know.
I would say so. Like, and I think, and I really hope that was planned, because this series is so woke that instead of, you know, sure, they might have started pitting them against each other, but they turned it around and they ended up being this power team together.
Yeah, and it was more about them just not knowing each other, than about like, oh, it's another girl, you know. So once you know, Sloane sees that Jade is this badass bronc rider, even though she is not really about that like country life, she's kind of like, okay, well, she might be kind of cool. And then at the same time, once Jade sees that Sloane has this softer side, you know, they're able to connect better.
And I think because they are at the same time, they're both like these strong, independent, determined women, that they gonna butt heads, just like Lou and Lisa.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote down, because it's very not Heartland-like, was that these women were drinking beer.
Oh yeah.
Because in Heartland, I don't think we've ever seen a woman drink beer.
No.
They always drink wine or like juice or tea or coffee, but never beer. And I think that also kind of showed who these characters are and how they're different from Heartland world.
Is it weird though that I can picture Jade drinking beer though?
Well, there was in, I think, season 10, this scene with
right.
Clay, and they're like chucking
that
beer or something.
Never. You don't see anyone just holding a
bottle like sitting up the porch and drinking beer, which is I don't know. It was just something like, as soon as Sloane was holding these like beer,
the glass.
I was like, huh, that's interesting that I noticed that, because
that is very fascinating. It's different.
Like, for me personally, it's not that weird, but like once you're in that headspace,
when you're in the Heartland world, right?
One of the things I also wrote down about kind of like the social media aspect was that I had kind of forgotten that whole throwing a water bottle thing was a thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, that felt kind of, I don't know, ancient when I was watching it.
It felt like an Alicia thing, not a Georgie thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember I was on set one time, this was 2016, and so I was hanging out with Alicia. We were, she was waiting for the next scene, and her and Wayne was filming her doing that water bottle thing. And I just remember thinking, like, yeah, this is the life. Like, this is cool. I've made it. So that's what I thought of when I saw her doing the water bottle thing.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I seen her do that in person.
And one of the things I also enjoyed was kind of having this outside character, Sloane, come in, and she's all like, oh, is everything about, rodeo around here? And then Ty walks in with this puppy, and Georgie's like, oh, that's so cute. And Sloane's like, oh, you live together? Like, what is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
funny.
Georgie's like, oh no, Amy and Ty live in the barn. And Sloane's like, what?
Uncle? Yeah. Yeah.
And so this like honest reaction to kind of what we're used to.
Yes, which would be a normal reaction to anyone who heard that, like as an outsider.
Yeah.
And you hear that, like, oh yeah, we live together, but they live in the barn, and you'd be like,
sorry, what's that?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, like I understand that this is like country living, but like in a barn, like really?
That's some redneck shit.
Yeah. And I think overall it was nice to kind of have this like outsider commentary about these things that we take kind of for granted.
Yes. And it almost reminded me of Jessica, her response to rodeo when it came to it's kind of the same.
Yeah, because it's something that we already know, and these characters don't make a big deal out of. But then, if you're an outsider, you would, be kind of like, huh? About that. Yeah. So, what did you think about the characters on the show?
I liked all of them. I have no complaints about any of the characters. I thought they had good chemistry together and they worked well off of each other. I wish that, what's his name? Was it Sam? I don't know. What's the dude's name?
Well, in the show, Trace, but in real life, Sam.
Okay, that's why I called him that.
Yeah.
So I really liked him and Jade together, but like as friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was interesting. I would like him to be on the show, so maybe we could see if, you know what I mean? Like, we see them and we never see them again, and I know we're just supposed to be like, oh, they're in Heartland world, but I'd really like for actually Soile and Trace to be on Heartland.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wrote down as well. Like,
it would feel a little more real.
Yeah, like I could imagine them merging in just fine.
Yeah.
Like, it would be fun to see, like, spoiler, by the end of this show, Trace is into Jade, and he kind of hints that he is, but it
tells her and then it ends.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, so what happened? Like, did Jade ever talk about that? Like, obviously she knew about, him having a crush.
So now what? And it's like, and she's barely on the show, like Heartland anymore. So it's like, I hate when they do that to good characters.
Yeah.
But I also wish Sloane would be on the show for representation. Now, I'm not asking her to make out with a girl, because I know everyone would lose their shit. But even having a lesbian or bi character on the show, that's all we ask.
And I think the little background that we got, her parents divorcing and her moving in with her dad and all that, like, I think there could be stories there that they could explore. And I really love the romance between Sloane and Trace, them having kind of each other's backs, and I don't know, I just like the
on her until he realizes that she had a girlfriend, and so he was still like, he didn't end up being an asshole after that. He just became friends, like, oh, she likes girls, that's fine. You know what I mean?
It wasn't like a big deal.
Oh yeah,
like, wait, you have a girlfriend?
Yes, there was a lot of comments that could have been made, but he's a respectful gentleman.
Yeah. And I think overall, I think they had nice chemistry all together. There were times that it was kind of like, okay, that's kind of like, doesn't seem like authentic. But I think it was because it was all very new to all of them, and they had to kind of, I don't think they had a lot of time to film this.
No, I mean, I don't know the full process. It seemed a little rushed. I don't know how long this process took or whatever.
I think it was like week or two, like not long.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I'm not gonna be too harsh about that.
No, of course not.
I think Sam Moik, or however you say his name.
That's his last name? Okay.
Yeah, who played Trace. I think overall he had chemistry with all of the characters. And I think since then he's gotten other roles in big productions. So that's really good.
I liked he's actually hilarious. I like that scene when he's going on his date.
Yeah.
And he has some sort of like allergic reaction, and then he like jumps behind. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and I think in the last episode when everything was kind of falling apart and Sloane was kind of like, okay, well, like, you're kind of funny, and he's like, what? Yeah, and he's kind of like cracking these jokes about this, like,
and then he wins his own money back, and he's so happy about it, and I'm like, oh my God, he is awesome. I would love to see him on the show. He's like the one, male character around that age who hasn't been a douchebag.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like a cross between Caleb, Clay, kind of, but not the douchebaggery parts from either of those, and then Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like the sweetness.
Yes, because he has the sweetness, the same. Oh, yeah, that's cute. Just like Jake. Yeah.
But he's kind of goofy, kind of like Caleb, but then he's like cocky, like Clay. But yeah, I think it would have been nice if they had introduced these characters on Heartland as well.
And I found that the character of Clay was incredibly sexist. So,
yeah, me too.
What's his name? I was gonna call him Sam again. Trace,
Yeah.
Not.
Like, I didn't like the Jade Clay pairing at all because
that was awful.
I just think like what Jade stands for is like completely fighting against what Clay is. So I don't think that fit at all. But I would have been okay with Trace and Jade. Speaking of that, actually, when I was watching this for the first time, I remember by episode 5 when Jade was kind of having this breakdown because everything was falling apart, and Sloane's kind of like, would this like girl give up? And she's showing this video and kind of like giving her the pep talk. By that time, they had revealed that Sloane had a girlfriend in the past, and there was this like brief moment where I thought like, is this gonna happen? Like, was
that your initial reaction to her saying that?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh. And then by the end of the episode 6, when her ex comes around, I was like, well, I guess not. Yeah, but like either way, I would have been, fine with Jade ending up with either of them.
Oh, I know, for sure.
And I think it would have made sense with either of them by that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned that Michelle directed some of these episodes.
Michelle directed, starred in.
Yeah.
She didn't write, but she did do both of those.
So
I think she only directed 2 episodes, maybe 3.
Yeah. I think it was kind of like her audition for directing on Heartland.
And she did so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And I love that now that we've gotten to see Hudson, and we can kind of see that what she can do with Heartland.
Yep. Oh no, she didn't direct. I was gonna say the first episode I really liked the directing, but she didn't direct that. So I'm assuming she directed the last.
Yeah, I think the last one was hers.
But yeah, I loved a lot of the different I like seeing it through her eyes, and because she's someone who's on the show, I feel like her and Chris, like, they have the most authentic view of the show.
Yeah,
because they basically are the show.
Yeah,
they're a big part of the show. They are the characters that they're directing.
Exactly. Like they know the acting perspective, but also they see it from the outside, so they can kind of with those two
and they know the
qualities.
characters.
Yeah.
Not just their own characters, but all of them.
Yeah, and I especially love that this was after Madison had given birth. So this was kind of her easing in back to acting. And, you know, she had her baby with her. And, you know, I remember Madison saying that Michelle was extremely like helpful with her because Michelle's, you know,
she did that.
Done it before.
Twice.
So so I just love that it wasn't just in front of the camera like these female bonding moments, but behind the scenes as well. And I think it kind of shows in the show as well.
It was written by Heartland writers Ken Craw and Alexandra Clark, so it did have Heartland writers. And I'd say they did a good job at writing the characters. I'm just not sold on the whole social media aspect of it. You know what I mean? I know that was probably like the whole point of the web series. I mean, between that and the LGBTQ community. But it, the social media aspect of it didn't seem too realistic to me.
Yeah, I was thinking that while I was watching it, that, you know, I don't know their ages, but they're not, you know, teenagers or young adults. So
they're not Gen Zers.
Yeah, so I wonder, like, was that a big challenge for them to kind of because, you know, with Heartland you have people of or characters of all ages, but with this it's like young people and it's all focus on them, like make it seem authentic because you really have to sell it. And I think you know, at some parts they did kind of well with that, but at others I was like, well, would a young adult say something like that? I don't know.
I agree. That was probably my biggest pet peeve of the whole thing, was just some of the social media conversations and stuff. You know, it just didn't feel it wasn't it. If they would have had maybe people even younger than that, like if it would have been something like young Georgie, like 12-year-old Georgie, like that makes sense nowadays. Because that's how young these kids are when they do these social media thingies. You know? Like even I'm too old for this conversation. I don't even get some of those apps. I don't.
I'm like still surprised they even mentioned like Tinder or
I know,
because like I get like Instagram and Snapchat and all that, but like Tinder is for adults. So so that was kind of like,
and it doesn't really have like a good rap, okay? Like we know what Tinder is for. It's not a dating app, okay? So it was like it was more of a like an adult kind of conversation to have. You're not supposed to be on Tinder if you're 14. If this is supposed to be for the younger generation, you don't bring Tinder into it.
But it wasn't done in a like,
no, of course not, in a creepy
nasty way, or
it wasn't done in a creepy way. Absolutely not. It was only mentioned. It was just a mention.
If you're interested to watch this show, like I said, it's on CBC Gem, and they have still their Instagram page, Hudson on CBC. It's not like active anymore, but like if you want to take a look, it's there. And one of the things I remembered was when I was looking through the Instagram page, was that they have this like introduction to all of the characters before the show aired, and they actually did that on CBC's main Instagram account. I think.
Did they?
And then they kind of reposted from that to kind of pull people in, maybe.
Did the actual Heartland channel post about it though? Like, sorry, not channel, but their actual Instagram.
I don't know. Maybe they might have mention it. I don't remember
Well,
anymore.
you know what? I think they did because people got angry. I think it happened on the Facebook page. I think they might have shared it.
Could
I
be.
remember reading the comments. So it was posted somewhere where Heartland fans got a hold of it.
I think
and the comments were awful.
Like 2020 maybe, like they posted this blog post like, did you know that there's this show called Hudson? And I think that was kind of when they started to moderate the comments under the blog posts because they were getting really nasty comments there.
They were disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting comments.
Yeah. And I'm glad that they started doing that because it was getting out of hand, really. Like so many of the comments were very like personal, like against the cast members. And
I couldn't believe Amber would be in something like this or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like people act as though they know these actors and what they believe. Amber has never posted anything about LGBT politics, any of that stuff. So you don't get to just sit there and act like you know what she believes because of the show she's on. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
We know nothing. And I really doubt Amber would be a person who would hate on the gays. You know what I mean?
Like just simply because they're gay. Or like whatever. Like,
I know.
I just don't see that being a thing.
Yeah, and when people bring up the remarks like, oh, you used to be such a good role model for my daughter and now you have like the gays on your show and stuff like that. Amber was not put on this planet to raise your children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, as a parent, that's your job to raise them.
Yeah.
Not someone on TV.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's kind of a like, because the things that Amber kind of wants to promote is like kindness
and love and all that stuff. Yeah.
So it's kind of like you saying like if you're like, I can't believe Amber is this kind of person or whatever, like you saying that you don't support kindness or like
or when they're like, oh, Amber's so nice for putting out all this positivity, and then they're like, oh, we hate the gays. You know what I mean? Like you can't be proud of her for all the kindness that she spreads and how she supports so many good things and then talk about all the stuff that she shouldn't support and shouldn't be kind about.
Yeah. Like it's not taking anything away from the kindness that she's extending toward you, or
she's kind towards everyone.
Yeah. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
But I remember when they posted that Sloane introduction. It was something like Sloane comes to Hudson after breaking up with her girlfriend or something. And people were like,
that's when
alert.
I think that was the first time everyone found out.
Yeah.
About having the LGBTQ community. I remember those calls.
Yeah. Because then as a response, some of the fans started this hashtag LGBTQ Heartland to show their support and to this inclusivity.
Right.
So that was a thing back then. And there were some nasty comments still there, but like
that doesn't belong in Heartland. Heartland's a family show.
Yeah, but at the same time,
blah blah blah.
There were some comments that were like, "I'm so glad that I'm finally like seeing this kind of
It was an inspiring thing to see because they knew they were going to get the feedback that they got.
They would have introduced Sloane in the same way, even if she would have broken up with her boyfriend. Like it wasn't kind of like in your face. It was just like, this is her character's story and that's why she's here. And, this is the starting point for her character.
And they act like it's forced on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's shoving their gayness in your face.
Yeah.
Like, it's just life. It's normal.
Yeah.
Just
and it
like
wasn't...
any other relationship.
it wasn't like the driving force for her character. She was
No.
doing all of these things, and then, you know,
Yeah,
her
that wasn't-
girlfriend comes
yeah.
up. Like, if it had been a boyfriend, people wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Of course not.
Like, it was done in a way that, you know, if it's a straight couple, like, no one would have batted an eye.
Yeah.
But then
If they
as
would have
soon
made
as-
like a big deal of it, like on the show, like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like if the
Yeah.
character on the if they would have made such a big deal about it, it would have been a lot worse. But they
Yeah.
did it not subtly, but just kind of perfect. They just kind of brought
Yeah.
it up in conversation like we were hoping they would do on the actual show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like I'm glad we got this like digital series, but at the same time it's
Right.
kind of like, well, since it's not really attached to Heartland, like, were those steps really taken? Kind of.
right.
If that makes
Right.
sense.
I think they did the absolute bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like the
So-
fact that they made a web series to talk about the LGBTQ community because they're not going to put it on the show because of their fan base
Yeah.
speaks volumes. You know, I would be a hypocrite for sitting here today without realizing the fact that I was grown up, raised in a very, very, very conservative religious house where basically stay away from the gays is what you were told.
Yeah.
So when I got, and I was a homophobic asshole for a long time because that's all I knew. And then I came out and then my whole life changed, and I will forever be sorry for all the people that I hurt in the LGBTQ community because I didn't educate myself outside of the small world that I was forced into. So I don't want to sit here and talk about how I support LGBT without, you know, recognizing the mistakes I made too at the same time.
Yeah, but at the same time, I always think like it's kind of like when you have the context for,
right,
you know, the conditions you were living in, like, it makes sense. And I'm not saying that it's like right, but like,
no,
that's
it's the reason
all you
why.
kind of knew.
Right.
But I always think that once you know better, like, do better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I was homeschooled. I was sheltered. I knew nothing about the real world until like I got kicked out at like 16. That's when I just woke up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have spent my whole life thinking this way because of what people have told me instead of thinking on my own.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is. We're not asking you to become a member of the LGBTQ community, but just to be respectful of it and try to understand. Yeah. So coming from the family I did, coming out was a really big deal. And I have to say that LGBTQ Heartland had a part in that, because seeing it on my show was like, okay, if it can be there, it can be anywhere, because Heartland's so important to me.
Yeah, and I just imagine, especially like young people watching this show, or like if this was more part of like Heartland, having that opportunity to kind of, you know, sit with your family and,
right,
you know, having this topic in the show that you all love, and maybe like bringing it up, like, you know, like, mom, dad, I'm like Sloan, or like something like that, or I want to go to the LGBTQ rodeo event, or just something like that. Like, I know that it's not always possible, but in some cases
representation is so important.
Yeah.
Because there are, and I know this for a fact, so many people who watch the show that are probably closeted because of the family that they live in. And because they love Heartland, they'd probably give anything to see someone like them on the show.
Yeah.
Because it helped me.
Yeah, and I remember,
you know,
like growing up, like the first time I even heard about like gays, it was because of TV. Like no one
even remember how I don't. It was just it was massive sin. That's all.
Yeah, like of course there were already like these public figures who were like presenting that, but it was never like talked about
Right.
in a way, at least that in a way that it reached me. So seeing that on TV was kind of like, it really gave me kind of an introduction to all of that. And I think, that's the reason why it's so important and why you have to do it right.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Because there are a lot of characters who are not done right, and
absolutely,
and that just can make it even worse.
Yeah. That's why I hope they do something with Rick.
Yeah, me too.
Because we believe he's a gay character, correct?
Yeah, I think, well,
it's not confirmed, but you know what? Even for whatever, we can just, I'm sure he wouldn't mind if we assumed that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Representation.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know if you're a fan of Star Wars.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know. You are? No?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway,
oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah. I remember seeing this, like some fan telling Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, like that he always saw Luke as a K character, like he saw himself in him, and so he read him as a K character, and he was kind of like what's the truth, like is he? And I think Mark said something like, he's whatever you want him to be, like that's your relationship with the character.
Whatever his response was, it was beautiful, because I remember seeing that. And it got a lot of attention, obviously, because things like that do, but it would be the greatest thing in the world just to have that little bit of representation.
And I think that's so nice of him to say. Like, someone could have been like, what? No, like he's like into ladies, and like, what are you talking about? Like, where did you get that? Kind of get defensive over this fictional character, which is bringing a lot of happiness to someone.
I know. And even the people who say things like, I'm not going to watch the show anymore, nobody cares. Go watch Up, Faith and Family, or go watch Hallmark.
Yeah. Like, there's a plenty of material out there.
Heartland isn't a religious Christian show.
Yeah.
It's a family show.
Yeah, it's just Heartland.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yes. It's for everyone.
Yeah. So, I hope that what they did with Hudson would extend to what they could do with the show, like whether it's Rick or someone else. There's been like little mentions of Peter's uncle or whatever, or I think his mom said something like, well, he's a bachelor uncle who moved in with his friend, and they have this, like, I don't know.
Oh my god, is this season 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go watch that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But this just proves it. Like, it just slips through you if you don't pay attention to it.
That is interesting, because that means that it flew over everyone's head.
Yeah.
Even the homophobes.
Yeah. Like it. Like, I appreciate those like little pushes, but like at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, that's very little that you're giving.
Bare minimum, like just the tip.
Yeah. And I think maybe Lou's co-worker or boss from New York, I don't remember the guy's name or whatever season he was in.
The dude, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say Rick. It's not Rick.
But anyway, he came from New York, and I think he was kind of like, he wanted back.
That dude. Oh, that is season 5 when he comes back and offers Lou a job.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think there was something around his character. I don't remember exactly, but it's kind of like, it's there, but it's not.
Yeah, and I don't like assuming sexuality either.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
sometimes you know what? Yeah,
Yeah, but there's
Um,
like this, what's the word? Like queer coding, like when you write something in it, but
right.
it's kind of like it passes by some people, but then if you're
It
like,
does. Yeah.
if you know what you're,
Yes. Like
reading
now that
into,
now that I'm more woke, if I were to go back and watch that, I would probably notice it right away.
yeah, it would be like, hang on, was that season
Was
5, Nothing for Granted, episode 8.
What?
He's called Martin.
That's the character's name?
Yeah, and
Right.
played by Maurice Dean Wint.
Interesting. Yes. Okay, I know who you're. Yeah. I think that's a pretty good guess.
Like
too.
I think there was something stereotypical like about gays.
Yeah.
Like he dressed up nicely, or he's into fashion, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like something like that. It was kind of like, okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but like it's kind of like stereotypes.
Like if you're in a huge room of people, typically there's going to be statistically in that large of a setting, or in Hudson in general, Heartland in general, statistically there's got to be gays.
Yeah. There's gays everywhere, really.
Exactly. We are everywhere.
Yeah, like you just might not know it, but like it shouldn't matter, but
absolutely
anyway,
not.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it does to some people. Thank you for joining us for another episode. I had a lot of fun talking about Hudson, which is great. Go check it out. It's on CBC Gem. And if you pay $5, you don't have to watch ads.
Yeah.
Anyways, so 84 days until the premiere, and we will keep bringing you updates until then.
Yeah, except next week, because we have to record the episode in advance, so it's gonna be like
it's gonna be
one.
We're gonna be behind.
Episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're filming 2 episodes
this week,
just a day or so apart. So we're gonna be talking about stuff that's not up to date.
Yeah. So that's a little bit behind the scenes information for you, in case you're like wondering why the next episode is gonna be a little bit.
We have like day jobs and stuff, guys.
Yeah. And I have my summer vacation, so.
Yes. So anyways, until next time.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
H2H. Yeah.
Sorry, H2.
Yeah. Dude.
Sorry.
Anyway, until next week, keep your noses clean.
And your powder dry. Oh, bye. I almost spilled my coffee on myself.
That would have been a better ending.
What an ending.
Yeah, well, chaos from the very start till the end.
Non-stop drama.
Yeah. See ya.